air, fire, water, ether, earth. We're made up, we're made up of all those elements. All those elements. And when you sing like that, it awakens the mother in all of us. The compassion, the nurturing, the caring, in male and female alike. The earth needs that kind of love. The earth needs that kind of compassion. The earth is crying for it at the moment. And males, a lot of males are now being awakened to that feminine side in them. It's okay to say I love you. It's okay to say I care. And women are becoming maybe a little bit too strong and a little bit too masculine. We have forgotten that our greatest gift of being a woman is being a woman. What do we do most? Best, most. Loving. You know, when we have a child, look at a mother. Naturally we'll look after the child. And that's who we are. That's what we really are. We have this energy. And we've lost a little bit of it because we've had to fight. We've had to fight to be recognized. And men have been taught. They've been taught to put us aside. But it's a changing times. And whenever the times change, there's always a little bit of revolution. This is why we see so many separations, so many breakups in relationships and marriages, because change is always difficult. But we shouldn't fear change. We should love it. We should embrace it. Because the souls, we are all souls, male, female alike. We are souls. We women have male energy and the men have female energy. And when we reach the perfect balance, we have a wonderful relationship of sharing. If one is tired, the other one will do the work. It doesn't matter. It's all done in unconditional love. Today everybody does have relationships. It's like a business. It's like a business. I do this for you, you do this for me. You count. How awful is that? If we could treat each other in the old Hindu scriptures, and my father always said that. He said a man's job, when we went to India, where my father married off 100 couples in the villages, because if the women are not married off, you know, they're either burned or killed, or it's really very sad, the state in India. So what he would do is he'd raise so much money every year, and he would provide dowries for the girls, because you couldn't change the village people, you just couldn't. You'd have to live there and educate them for years before they would progress. So what he would do instead is at least give them a better life. So I went with him one time to India, and he would give all this dowry to the women so that they would get married. And when my father was there, it's the first time in that village they heard a man speak out for women. And it was so beautiful to hear in India. He sat there and he said, "You want to be lucky, men? Do you want great wealth in your life? Then know that your wife is a goddess. Treat her like a goddess. Love her like the goddess, and Goddess Lakshmi will bless you with wealth and goodness." And then he said to the women, treat your men like a god. You say God is everywhere. You say the divine is everywhere. And who stays with you day and night? 24 hours? Your partner. So look after your husband like a god, and then you will know life in its purest form. And you will experience true marriage. And you know, I watched my father throughout his life treat my mother like a queen, treat her like a princess. And when he married her, he was not so wealthy, and she came from a much more wealthy family. In the end, he became the millionaire and gave her everything she wanted because he always looked after her. And she always looked after him. It was very unusual. My mother every morning would get up and she'd choose his suit, and then she'd put his tie for him and his cufflinks for him. It was very nice to watch. Little caring things that we forget to do even for our friends or our mothers or our sisters. And these things are what makes our life so special. The little things you do for someone. You know how happy you feel when somebody brings you a cup of tea in the morning. Don't you feel great? Isn't it just the kindest thing they can do for you? And these are little acts, you know, Mother Teresa said, it's not in the great things you do, it's in the small things you do greatly. And people love to give. Everybody loves to give. But we've been taught in the last generation, I don't know whether it was the war or what, to hoard and to worry and not to share. So material, don't share, keep this, just in case tomorrow you don't have it. So the material hoarding went on into our hearts. And then people started to hoard the emotions. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get offended. And then the ego and the selfishness grew. And then we as a human race, we're not happy. We're not happy. People are not happy. Why are they not happy? Because they're not loving and they're not sharing and they're not speaking the truth and they're not living the truth. They're always looking for something outside to make them happy. But they don't want to give from themselves. You can only be truly happy when you learn to love, to give unconditionally. Our master always said that, Sri Swami Satchidananda, he said, the dedicated ever enjoy supreme peace. So live to serve. But there's a fear in serving, there's a fear in, what if I don't get it back? My answer to you, you may not. You may be hurt. But better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Shakespeare. Wasn't he wise? I think he was a brilliant yogi. If you read, any of you read Shakespeare? Yeah? Look at Macbeth. You see how good he was? And then the witches go and put a thought in his head, and look how his character changed. Just by somebody putting a thought in his head. If you look at it, this is what happens to us. We've lost our ability to make our own decisions from what we feel in our hearts. We're always looking for somebody to approve of what we do or what we say. So we live a little bit of a lie to ourselves. And yoga is that great science, that great, 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 great science that tells us, hey, you're divine. Each one is so special. Each one is so beautiful. Find yourself. Live in that holiness. Live in that holiness. And then you can live a good life. And the whole science is teaching us how to live in the holiness. It's not about able to stand on your head or doing this and doing that. Great. As long as you have a young body, good. But the body will die one day. What kind of insurance is that? Look after your soul and your spirit. That's never going to die. Guess what? You're eternal. Look after that which is eternal. We're just spiritual beings having a human experience. Who said that? Do you know who said that quote?
Nalanie.
Yes. I'll take credit for something I didn't do, but I liked it. I have other quotes, but not that one. Thank you. But we are like that. And the more we live in this dynamic energy, it's really quite magical. It really is magical. The other day I met somebody who's finally, something happened in her life, and she's been studying philosophy, psychology for years, and studying all the books. And then she went through a great suffering in her relationship. And after 2 or 3 years of suffering, God help me, why did this happen to me? And all of a sudden one day, she went for a walk. A long walk on her own. She had a realization. She says, I don't know why I wasted so much of my life. I was so worried about these temporary setbacks. Other people have greater problems. And I spent 3 years feeling sorry for myself when I could have enjoyed myself like I did this morning on this wonderful walk and just looking at trees and just looking at the birds and not thinking about poor me. ever since that day, she changed. Just a realization, just the moment. And that's what yoga is experiencing. That life is full of sorrow and pain, pleasure and pain, and we have to just rise above it. Watch our lives as we're watching a great movie. Okay, it's not a good part in the movie. If you were the director, what would you do? Yoga is understanding that you have the ability with a steady mind to change. To change what's happening. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, this moment. This moment you can actually change. That's the only thing we can do. Nothing else. Isn't that exciting? So in this moment, you're getting upset. You don't like something. You can just say, I decide not to do that. I decide to be happy. I refuse for that person who's swearing at me to hurt me. I will not listen. You can decide. And that's the gift the science of yoga should give us, so that we can make the right decisions in our life and cause as little pain as possible. We call it ahimsa, non-violence. Anyway, I'm not here to talk, I'm here to answer your questions. Anybody have any questions that I can answer? Janaki? Anybody have any questions? It's a question and answer session today, isn't it?
That was the general idea, yeah.
Okay.
But if there aren't any questions, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, from her Jaima. Yes, please.
On one of your talks, you were talking about a lady, from when you first started out, was paying for a course, and you knew she couldn't afford this course. So you went to your guru and asked if you could refund the money. And I think the tape stopped at the end, and I wanted to know the end of the story. Don't know if you remember it.
Yes, I do remember it. Yes, my guru was wonderful. He was absolutely wonderful. We never charge. In Gibraltar, I don't charge for any of the courses. They just pay minimal. It's a
But
year
with
course.
this lady, you were worried about taking the cash, and you went to him, and I wondered what the response was.
Oh, you're talking about... No, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about Swami Sripananda when he visited me in Gibraltar, and this lady had given a donation.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and you know, she couldn't. Yeah, that was just recently, about 2 weeks ago. Yes, I told this story. Yes, so he asked me, let me just fill you in. There was a Swami who came to Gibraltar, and who I had invited, and he gave some wonderful talks. And at the end of it, he was asking for donations, and he had these envelopes which he gave out to everybody, and everybody put a donation in. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when we got home, he asked me, could I do the accounts for him? So I said, sure. So in the envelope, some people had put notes in, and who had given it, etc. Mm-hmm. So there were many people. There were about 100 people at that talk. And there were very, very wealthy people, and there were people that had nothing. So I was counting the envelopes, and it was very interesting. Some of the very, very wealthy people was giving like £5, £10. And I opened this envelope, and it's £100. That's the lady. And I go, and I know this lady. I know what trouble she's had. I know how little she earns. She's going through a financial crisis. And I go, oh my God, I can't take this £100. So I go to this guru and I say to him, you know, Swamiji, I know this lady, she's given you £100, but she really can't afford it. Would you mind if I return it back to her? He said, no, Nalanie, of course I don't mind. You know best, you know all these people here. I don't know them. So I said, thank you. So anyway, a few days later, I go to her and I return the £100 to her. She said, Nalanie, why are you doing this? I said, I know you're in a financial crisis. And she goes, but this is nothing. This is only 25% of my salary a month. The knowledge that is given, there's no amount of money that can pay for it. Please allow me to give it. And then the very, very wealthy people said to me, oh, Nalanie, did you see? I gave such a good donation. about human nature. You never know. You never know. Never judge a book by its cover. But what I learned from that was she gave in such a pure spirit that 25% of her salary was nothing. And the other had millions, and £10 was so much. So who really was rich? Do you know, after she gave that donation, I must tell you, it was really interesting for me to watch again. And 3 months after that, her entire life changed. Her entire life changed. She moved out of Gibraltar. She got a job abroad. Her children suddenly got good jobs, were successful, and for making £400 a month, the whole family were making £2,000 a month in a different country. And the job that she was offered was managers of some business, and she was also given an apartment. So you just don't know, where it comes back from. She did not expect anything. But I've seen this so many times in my life, over and over and over. I laugh because, Lakshmi and Shanti here, I laugh. I say they have a siddhi. A siddhi is an ability to produce from the universe. Whenever they want to travel, they don't have full-time jobs. They work very hard non-stop. 90% in their lives, it's service. And maybe 10%, they're always working in the service field. And they'll have a few odd jobs that they do for the general public to make their own living. Because their clients are always so good. Whenever they want to travel, they're offered the money. She wasn't coming with us to Sri Lanka. 3 weeks ago, she's in real estate. She gets a big commission. She goes, I'm coming. I said, did you doubt it? I always know she comes. Always she has this gift. And this one the same. This is so interesting to watch in my life. This girl always constantly serving, giving, always helping. And the background, both of them are the same. Anyway, I remember once we were going to Barcelona together. She's at a wedding on a Saturday. She goes, on a Friday she calls me up. She said, Nalanie, I'm not sure if I can travel with you to Barcelona. I can't seem to get a lift down to Gibraltar, because she's supposed to meet me. Then I take her to Malaga airport and we fly from Malaga. And so I said, okay. But she said, don't worry. I'll call you tomorrow and something will work out. The Saturday, she's invited to a wedding. At that wedding, she meets somebody who lives 10 minutes from Gibraltar in Sotogrande. And he has to go to Gibraltar that morning at 10 o'clock, which was the time we set to meet, to see a lawyer. So he met her at the wedding and he said, oh, I can offer you a lift to Gibraltar. So she got down and then her ticket was paid for. Everything just worked for her. And I've seen with service, my father was the same, my grandmother was the same. But you don't expect anything in return. That's the secret. Many people do things and they expect something in return. Doesn't work because there's an ulterior motive. But when the action is pure and coming from the heart, it's cause and effect. The universe doesn't judge. It's serve. Whatever you put out, you will get back. Everything is karmic. Yes.
Sorry, I have a question. I'm disabled, and I have tried to do voluntary service, charity work. Every company I have run has shut me down. Said no, no, you cannot do it. No, it's no. How can I actually help at all when nobody wants me?
Okay, you see, my master taught me something very interesting about helping, which I never understood till many, many years ago when he actually taught me. I was like you. I always wanted to help, go to places, and I always get something back. I join a committee and I see egos and everybody's arguing and it's always about a power struggle. And then he said something to me that made so much sense. He said, Nalanie, if you really want to help, make yourself happy first. Purify your mind first. And then The real service comes and the real help comes when you are not going out to look to help others, but others come to you for help. And when I made that shift in consciousness, I stopped looking where to help or what to do. People started coming to me for help, and that's how I started teaching. I stopped trying. I just saw my job. I was working in a retail outlet with my husband at that time, and I wanted to get out of it. But when I started to practice yoga, I realized love wherever you are. So I actually got to love what I was doing finally, after many years of fighting with my husband, putting me in a job like that, right? Anyway, when I accepted it, all I did was meditate for 5 years and want to purify my mind.
Just like that.
Just like 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Yeah, just like that. Every morning, I was determined to find my peace. I was determined because I was always angry and I was always blaming everybody else. And I was never comfortable while I was blaming. I knew I wasn't me. I knew something in me was not correct. My poor husband, I was blaming him all the time, you know? And when I had to correct that, see the truth that nobody was to blame, that the only person that was responsible for my life was me. And meditation allowed me that time to sit and watch, and that was the real work. And when I found out who I was, when I saw myself for who I was, truthfully stripped, I realized, oh my God, I thought I was a good person. How wrong was I? So there was a lot of corrections to make in myself. I had to fix me. And that's all I was interested in. Why? Because I wanted to be peaceful. My goal was peace. My master said to me, make peace your God. So the only way I could find peace is if I harbored no anger towards anyone. If I didn't want or desire anything, I want, it made me miserable. I analyzed this for 5 years. So after 5 years, I became a little still. A little still. And all of a sudden I'm working in the shop. Somebody walks up to me. Oh, you've changed so much. What are you doing? I said, I'm just meditating, reading a lot, studying a lot, going internally and learning to love everything around me. Just learning to love everything. And they go, wow, can you teach me? Oh no, I'm not a teacher, I'm just a student, I'm learning. And that's how it started. Somebody else would come, Oh no, I don't want, still today I'm not a teacher, I'm a student. I'm really a student. I'm learning everything, something new every day. That's what makes life so delicious. So, to answer your question, sometimes the more we want to help, it's almost like the doors are shut. So, meditate a little.
May I say, I did what you have said, the meditating, and my life changed after I did that. I did it for a few long months. And everyone I knew disappeared out of my life. But no one else have come. And I'm talking no friends, no nothing. So I'm thinking, is it I have to continue my journey? Or it's more, how can I say it? Everyone that I have met for the last 4 years, even though have needed help, were too demanding. They wanted me 100%. And I cannot give them that, because then I have no energy to make a cup of coffee. So where does one put the line that becomes giving to the point that you just have nothing?
You see, giving, this is a very good question. Thank you. Giving also means giving to yourself. Our master said, what is a perfect action? One that causes no harm to anyone. Some benefit to someone, yourself included. So if you are giving everything to everyone and you feel depleted, that is not a perfect action, is it? You have to understand that if your body is tired, it's not about being selfish. If somebody else, if a baby was tired, wouldn't you put the baby to sleep? You have to offer yourself that same respect that you would offer a child or a baby. And this is where people overdo their limits too in goodness. Goodness is not weakness. I keep repeating that. It's knowing where you have to say no. When I started yoga, there's another thing I was very grateful for. I was like you, very similar things, because most of us go through the same journey. Nearly all of us go through the same journey. Different experiences, but same basic journey. And I could never say no. I'd say yes, and then I'd feel like a martyr and get irritated and angry. So why would I bother to do that? And I said, what am I doing? Then I thought I was a good person. I'd make dinner for my husband after work, and then I'd get angry because he didn't help me. Why didn't I just ask him, darling, can you help me? I'm tired tonight. Too proud. I was too proud. And so I learned to fine-tune that. If I want to make dinner, I make it. If I don't want to make it, I'm so sorry, darling, I'm very tired tonight. Do you mind having a sandwich? Do you know, immediately he would make me a sandwich. And all those years of resistance, because I was too proud to say I was tired. And I think it's really important to understand oneself and one's capabilities. And when you're feeling like that, easily, without any anger or any resentment with anybody else, including yourself, no, I'd love to do this for you, but I can't at the moment. I need to rest. I'm really tired. Sorry. Finish. Full stop. We push ourselves because we want so much to do that it becomes an attachment. Our master always said to me, Nalanie, it's not about what you want or what you don't want. Do you understand that? Life is not about what, sometimes we want something and it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you don't want something and sorry, you have to eat it or you have to have it. The secret of life is learning to accept all. And how do you learn to accept all? And knowing how to react to things. Accepting all doesn't mean you don't react negatively. Sometimes you accept the person is like this, but what the person has done is wrong. So you have to have a negative reaction. According to that person, you are reacting negatively. But really in your heart, that's where you sit well with yourself. You know the reason why you're correcting the person is because you love them. You're not coming from a place of ego, but you're coming from a place of service. So even though the person is angry with you for telling them truthfully, you accept that because you are so sure about you, where you are coming from. This is why it's so important, so very important to know where you are coming from. And it doesn't matter what people think of you. Because you can sleep well at night. But if you come from a place of jealousy, if you come from a place of anger, and then you tell somebody something, you're not coming from a place of total acceptance, total purity. And that's when the wars start. And this is where the fights start. Meditate again, don't stop. Start. It takes a long time. Sri Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra says, it takes a long time without a break and with all your heart. Memorize that. A few months is nothing. And you'll keep falling till you become well established. It takes a long time. Don't worry about time. We have many, many lifetimes. But worry about the quality of this life. This life, you say you're disabled? Where are you disabled? Okay, for me that's not a disability. I wonder, it's very exciting what you can do with others with that age. Create that joy in you. That joy. I have a special needs grandchild. I tell you, she has brought so much to our lives. Some of you have met her. Mm-hmm. Her name is Talia. Yeah. You've met her in Beverly, right? Yeah. What she has done for my daughter, I cannot begin to tell you, and my family, and all the people around you. around her. She's been an angel. She's 4, but she's only like 9 kilos. She doesn't grow. She's the happiest child you will see. She brought out the best in my daughter. Selfless service. My daughter used to work in a real estate. Sometimes agitated, bad-tempered, nagging her husband all the time. I said, please don't. Very good person, but very, this is wrong and this is right. And she had Talia, 3rd child. Talia, she's left the real estate, total devotion to special needs, and she's trying to have all the special needs around our area. By her, because she has this ability to go on internet and decipher information and speak to doctors from all over the world to help other children in need. And not once has she complained looking after Talia. So I told her, Talia came to bless you, to bring the best out in you. So you have come with this disability, but I don't call it a disability. I'm so sorry. Forgive me.
No, it's how different people call it.
Yeah, I call it a blessing to bring out the best in yourself. The best in yourself against all odds. You bring energy.
I have no choice.
Exactly.
I just sit and cry or just move on and do whatever I
Absolutely.
can.
And the more joyful you are, the more you teach people. The more you laugh, people want to learn from you. You know what? They'll come to you and say, please, how can you have a disability and be so happy? Teach me.
Well, they already say that.
See,
but
then
very
you've done-
soon they see the fatigue.
Fatigue is normal in this kind of problem. Accept it. It's very normal.
I do, but no one else does.
Shanti, give her a nice big hug.
Yes, no problem.
You think nobody else does. Ask them all here. Don't you believe it? You haven't loved your disease yet. Learn to love it, and it will serve you well. I'm sorry to tell you that. Learn to love it. Ask it, why has it come to your life? How is it going to make you the best you can be? You're already doing it. Look at it. Sing more, because he's singing. I saw with the mantra, you were very much happy. Something happening to you. Sing. You need to sing. Listen to mantras more. You need to get to a different place. Build the higher energy up. God bless you. Any other question? Thank you for being so brave to ask that. Can we do one thing, since there's at this moment not a question? Could we just do you know the Om Trambakam mantra, any of you? It's a healing mantra, and it's meant for healing. Could we say a healing mantra for you? Would you mind? Oh, what is your name, please? Nicole. We'll just do one Om Trambakam. Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivadanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiye Mamritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Try and make friends with your disease, and it will give you much ease. That's really hard to do, but when you can do it, everything in you will shift. Thank you. Any other questions?
Who is it? Someone's calling to ask a question.
What What is the question, may I ask?
Who's calling?
What do you want? You don't want to listen.
She's literally speaking. You should
Amazing.
close your phone. and
Stefan.
that's
It's Stefan, I'm sorry.
Has he got questions?
That's going to be as a question.
What's all this?
Yeah, why's Pharmacy got a phone on sat side?
Yes, it is.
I was taking
Goodness.
pictures.
Is
Flight mode.
Oh, that was Stefan. That's the only reason I answered it.
Okay. So that's close phones.
Close the door.
Yes, switch it off. Let him wait. He knows you are here.
That's why it's phoning, to find out what's missing.
So what do you want me to talk about? Joy, life, living?
A bit more on taking peace with you into your workplace.
I know that one well. I was just telling her, yeah. First of all, it's really important. You know, we all have to get up and go to work to make a living on this earth. And I think the fact is we talk so much about work and all the negative and all the positive. It's so great. If you can really understand how great it is to get up in the morning and have a place to go to work. And when you understand, it's not, you know, so many people tell me, oh, I'm not doing the job of my dreams. I should really be serving. I really want to love. I want to give, but I'm stuck in this office job and I can't. I said, if you can't even be happy in this office job and you can't even get along with your colleagues here, why are you even practicing yoga? What is the meaning of yoga? Master Shivananda. Master Shivananda, I love Master Shivananda, master of our master. He says in his lovely song, serve, love, give, meditate, purify, realize, do good, be kind, be compassionate. Inquire, who am I? Who am I? Who am I really? Know yourself and be free. Adapt, adjust, accommodate. Bear insult. Bear, because it's so painful. Injury. Highest sadhana, highest practice. You see, life brings us to places and jobs and work where we need to excel in ourselves, where we need to learn acceptance. It's the same with relationships. We're put into relationships to learn. Normally the type of partner we will choose is, and which we criticize, will be exactly what we need to learn from that partner. But we don't want to see these things in ourselves. So we get jobs sometimes that we're unhappy with, or things are not going perfectly. If you can get up with that feeling that this job is given to me, oh great, at least I can take some money home to my family. Oh, thank God I can support my family. At this moment, this work is all I have. Let me make it whole. I'm so lucky I can do this. I can move out of my house. I can work, because I tell you, people who don't work, and I have met many, men and women, have the most miserable minds. They have the most miserable minds. I was speaking to a lawyer in Marbella. Marbella is a very wealthy area in Spain. And she was telling me she's so tired of being a lawyer. I said, why? She said, all these wealthy people come down to Marbella and retire. They have nothing to do with their time but play golf, eat, and drink. So what happens? They come to her office and they make big problems. And they had really no problems, and they create problems. They have all the money in the world, and they'll argue so much with somebody with a little bump in the car because they're so bored. So all day long, she said, I'm dealing with these kind of people. I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. Give me a cause, and I want to do that. And this is, this is the kind of feeling you build up in yourself. I'm so blessed with some work. Okay, it's not the ideal situation. It's not my ideal work. But I promise you, when you are grateful for what you love and what you have, the gods will move you to something better. It's like a promotion from the universe. You've learned to love this place. You're not complaining anymore. Guess what? You've graduated. You can go to the next step. The same thing happened to me. I didn't like working in a shop with my husband. It was his own business. But I always complained. When I learned to love it, whether I liked it or not, the gods moved me to this direction. I didn't want to be moved. I actually got to love working as a retailer. But then my master calls, Nalanie, you really should start teaching. And everybody calls me, can you teach me? And I go, I'm not a teacher. And look, my life has changed totally in the last 10 years. Totally. Things move me. And this is how I see how the spirit works, how energy works. Just learn. Just be grateful. The Buddhists say, the most important practice is gratitude. Gratitude. Wow. I have somewhere to go to today. Can you imagine if you didn't have somewhere to go or something to do? The mind will always be negative. Many people sit at home all day. They become agoraphobic. They can't even go out anymore. Have you met any of those? There are many in Gibraltar. They become even scared to meet people in case they fall, in case there's an accident, in case the whole day long they're thinking about negative. What kind of life is that? For me, that is hell. Hell is not out there when you die. Hell is if you can't live this life beautifully. Heaven and hell are right here, right now. So if you can make your life a heaven by just loving everything you do, even though you don't like it all the time, be grateful for it. You cannot like it. There's some days you don't like certain people. There's some days you don't like your job. It's okay. It's normal. You're human. But on the whole, just be grateful for everything. I know I don't like this job. When the time is right, I'll move. You do everything to make the move. You write your CVs, you send them off to a better job. Until you find the better job, stick with the one you have. Thank God you have a job. And that's how I would deal, bringing, love into, happiness into your workplace. And then see how you can brighten up your workplace would be step number 2, which you do anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy with my work. It was interesting to hear you say that you have the days where you don't like this, and that's fine, and that's okay.
Yeah, the days you won't.
Or the minutes within the day when you think, oh.
Yes, you will. What am I doing here? Sometimes I wonder when I'm talking, what am I doing here? What, do I have anything to teach anybody? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Do they really need me? Do I really make a difference?
Yeah.
And some days I do that. So I'll be quite happy reading a book in a corner. And you do get those days. And it's normal. We're human. We're all human. And isn't it nice that we're human and we can admit it and we can talk about it and we can laugh about it and we can forgive it and we can move on? You see, what happens is when we have a negative thought, we get stuck. No, we think we're not good people. Then we start to hide the negative thought and pretend it's not ours. Oh, don't tell anyone I said that yesterday, My husband was very good for me that way. When I first started yoga, he was really my test. He's now passed away, God bless him. He was my greatest guru, really. And he would say, whenever I was a little negative at home, he would say to me, and you call yourself a yogi. You all get that,
Yes.
right? And you call yourself a yogi. I'm going to call your Gurudev and tell him what you just did. And in the early days, I was so silly because I wasn't really a good yogi. He was absolutely right. I'm not even sure if I am now. It doesn't really matter anymore.